Hey, welcome back to Al's Drum Hang. Happy New Year. It's me, I'm Al, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about top drummers' best habits for being top drummers. What sets a top professional drummer apart from everybody else who plays drums? Well, there's a few things that you might say, yeah, that makes perfect sense when you say it, and then there's some things that are like, wow, I never thought about that. A lot of people are making videos about what the best drummers, the top drummers, professional drummers do that maybe amateur drummers don't, so I'm hopping on a bandwagon. Doot doot, let's go. It's Al's Drum Hang. Before we get started, as always, I want to say thank you for all your likes, your views, your subscribes. I really appreciate you all. You make this channel the success it's been over the past year, and there's only better stuff coming in 2024. I'm so excited to bring you new content, new ideas, new things to check out. One of the things that top drummers do that maybe amateur or beginning drummers just don't know to do is they know where the one is and every other beat in the song and in the measure, but they know where one is. I often like to say that the drummer is the person who puts everybody else's feet where they ought to go in the correct footsteps. And think about that for a second. You have subdivisions within a bar. Obviously, the measure itself is a subdivision. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's the quarter note pulse that we associate with the 4/4 timed signature. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 1 is super important. Landing on the 1 is where bands most often resolve themselves. Not just in 4/4, but in more complicated time signatures. Even 6/8 can be a really complicated time signature to people who are used to playing 4/4. So the drummer has to know where 1 is and get everybody back together on the 1 or on the subdivisions where everybody's supposed to be together. There are many more complicated pieces of music where you will have folks all over the place rhythmically. Somebody may be playing triplets, somebody may be playing quintuplets, and somebody may be keeping a quarter note pulse. It's kind of one of the drummer's jobs to make sure everybody knows where to land and get there together. Now, everybody's responsible, of course, for counting, for knowing where they are, for keeping time, and for keeping accurate time and accurate subdivisions within a measure and within the song. But the drummer really gives it structure. He kind of provides that audible je ne sais quoi. He provides that backbone to the music. If you think about it, most studio recordings are to a click, and it sounds like boop, 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 and everybody locks in on that. A drummer is probably not playing boop, 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 but he's playing something else that's going to help everybody lock in, because typically speaking, not everybody's going to be playing to a click all the time when you're performing live or even necessarily in the studio. The drummer might be recording to a click and everybody else might be recording to the drum track. The drummer really, really needs to land on that 1. And when I say land, he's got to... I talk with my hands. The drummer's really got to land on the 1. And when I say land on the 1, I mean another thing that sets professional drummers apart or top drummers apart is landing with confidence. I've talked about confidence before. I have a whole video about it. But confidence is contagious. And if the drummer is confidently placing 1 and placing the backbeats, that's another thing professional drummers do, is they put the backbeats in there. They provide a strong backbeat rhythm. Even in odd times and odd signatures, they can provide that backbeat that gets everybody kind of cutting that backbeat rhythm together. It's really prevalent in some genres like ska, I'm thinking right now, where the syncopation is the thing, and guitarists are strumming along with that syncopation. So where am I getting at with this? The drummer is confident and he's leading that. I've talked before about drummers who are not confident and what happens to them and what happens to those bands. So pro drummers are confident. Another thing that top drummers are is prepared for the unexpected. If something happens in the middle of a song, how quickly can you get back on top of it and continue on like nothing happened? And the hallmark of a top drummer is just that. Nobody knows anything happened. I don't know how many times I've been at a gig, I've dropped a stick, I totally flubbed a fill, I came in at the wrong place, or somebody dropped out unexpectedly. We keep going. And at the end, what they remember is that, hey, we sounded great. It never seems to be that, oh, somebody screwed up. Nobody really catches that unless there's a train wreck. And then all of a sudden, everybody knows there's a train wreck. But if you just keep on, you fix stuff, you keep moving on, and don't let it get in your head, people are going to be like, yeah, that was a great set. That was a great job. And so top drummers overcome adversity, and they just get in there and they do that work. Top drummers are consistent. And what I mean by that is every time they hit the kick drum, it sounds similar. Every time they hit the snare drum, it sounds similar. They are hitting the cymbals with the same intensity within the dynamic. They are consistent on their time and their placement of notes. They're also consistent people who show up on time to rehearsals and gigs and do what they say they're going to do. But that's a whole nother thing. That's part of being a good bandmate and a good person. And I talked about that in my 5 things I've learned. But being consistent means you sound consistent. I'm not saying sounding like a drum machine, but I am saying you are consistent in how you sound throughout the song. A consistent energy, a consistent dynamic when the dynamic is straight. And I'm going to talk about dynamics in a second, but consistency. Okay, so let's talk about dynamics. Top drummers use them. Top musicians use them. Top musicians use dynamics. Okay, why was it so revolutionary when Nirvana did the soft verse, loud chorus, soft verse, loud chorus, louder bridge, loud chorus? Why was that so revolutionary? Because for a long time, people had been just doing single volume songs, especially in the 80s with metal and stuff. It was all just 100% of the song, no dynamics whatsoever. You would notice maybe sometimes they'd drop out for a little bit of a bridge or something, and then they'd just amp it up and it's back to 100 or 110 because we've got to be at 11. But real musicians and pro drummers, top drummers, use dynamics. And that goes into my next point, which is that pro drummers play around other instruments and around the soloists and around the vocalist. You do not want to be bashing at top volume when the vocal comes in. You need to edge back and give that vocal its space. You also don't want to be playing fills or complicated figures over what the vocal is doing, because it's just going to complicate the ear space, and that vocal is going to be muddied. It's going to be lost. It's going to lose a lot of its impact. Remember, the vocal is an instrument too, and for a lot of the song, if you have vocals, it's the soloist. So you've got to give it the space. When a guitar solo comes in, or a keyboard solo, or a sax solo, or whatever, you got to give that space too. You're a support player in that role, and they have the solo. That's not to say as we go through phrases, we go through the end of an 8, or we go to the end of a 12 or a 16, depending on the song structure. We can go ahead and fill it in because the rest of the rhythm section is probably filling in along with us. Especially, I'm thinking of a 12 or a 16 bar blues. Okay, there's perfect place for that. And the rest of the band can go with. And of course you can do licks to accentuate what the soloist is doing, but please, 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 please don't overplay them. They are the soloist. You're the drummer, you're the support act in that instance. There are going to be parts of the song, there are going to be moments where you can have the spotlight. You can do that huge fill, okay? Nobody else was doing anything when Phil Collins did his big fill in the middle of In the Air Tonight. That was his bit. That was his part. But you can't be playing the fill like that, for no pun intended, through the rest of the song. Now, towards the end, where the song got really, really like overwrought and everybody's just kind of freaking out. Yeah, he started adding in more tom fills. That's great. That's fine. It didn't take away from anything because the vocal at that point is like, in the air tonight, ah, like that. So it's not taking away, it's adding on. Okay, pro drummers know the difference between overplaying, playing over someone else, or adding on when everything needs to be added on. And that's the trick. When is that? When is that appropriate? You learn that. You listen to music and you learn that. You play music with musicians and you learn that. Maybe that comes to the last bit I have for what pro drummers do. Drumming is a physical act that requires certain muscle motions and an adherence to rhythm. And so mechanically you can be playing the drums, but are you playing music? Pro drummers play music, not the drums. I could bust out a lot of chops a lot of the time, and I don't. I am at the point where I don't think that serves the song as much as it could. I'm at the point where just a tasteful fill, a little bit of color on the cymbals, a really, really honking backbeat, that is what's really going to serve this song. I am listening to what the other musicians are doing. We are giving and taking. We are playing off of each other. I'll tell you what, about half the time when I'm playing the drums, I am not concentrating on the drums if I'm doing it right. I'm concentrating on my bandmates. I'm concentrating on the audience, concentrating on just the experience of being a musician, playing music during a song, listening to the vocals, listening to the emotions, letting the emotions take me where they will. You're going to have an experience if you let yourself have an experience. But if you're rooted in, I've got to hit this tom now, 3 eighth notes on this tom, and then we do a 16th note triplet down there. You're caught in the mechanics. Practice that stuff. Get the muscle memory down and then just let it go. Let your body do it. I tell you what, it's so rewarding when your body just does the stuff it needs to do. And you're playing the music. Let your body play the drums. You, up here, you play the music. That's what top drummers do, is they play the music up here, and they let their hands and their feet play the drums. So just spend the time on the kit. Get really, really fluid with what you need to do in every song, and let it sink into your muscle memory, so that when it comes time to come play that song, you can play the music, you can play the song, you can be a musician and a member of the community that's experiencing that music and that emotion at that moment. And your body can go ahead and take care of the drums. So that's my opinion on what top drummers do. But hey, I'm interested in hearing what you think top drummers do. Did I miss something? Did I go way off track on something? Do you have other ideas? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, I'm so happy to spend some time with you in the new year. I'm going to be recording a lot more videos this year, hopefully, so that I can take advantage and get up there. I need to get to 500 subs. I need to get 3,000 watch hours. So go back and watch every other video I've ever made, please, and give me some watch hours so that I can monetize and bring you more stuff. I appreciate you all. Like, subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. This has been Al's Drum Hang. Go be a top drummer.